Week 29 Day 1. Lithe graceful. It was a pleasure to watch the lithe body of the ballet dancer, as she performed the most difficult steps since lithe sense adjective young, healthy, attractive and able to move and bend gracefully. He had the lithe, athletic body of a ballet dancer. Lithely adverb obese very fat sense his insatiable hunger for sweets soon made him obese sense obese adjective extremely fat obesity noun a diet that is high in fat can lead to obesity. Adherent backer, supporter sense the disgruntled unpleasant adherent switched his loyalty to the opposition party. Adherent noun someone who strongly supports an idea, plan, person, etc. She has been an adherent of homeschooling for years. An adherent surface adhere verb to stick or be attached firmly to a surface. Glue won't adhere to any surface that's wet. A smooth, dry surface helps the tiles adhere to the wall. Adhesion noun the ability to stick. At this stage a resin is used with a high level of adhesion. Bliss happiness, pleasure sense what bliss could be seen in the eyes of the ardent couple as they announced their engagement sense bliss noun perfect happiness, lying on a sunny beach is my idea of sheer bliss. Wedded domestic bliss blissful adjective extremely or completely happy, a blissful childhood holiday we spent a blissful year together before things started to go wrong. Blissfully adverb in an extremely happy way, they seemed blissfully happy. All this time I was blissfully unaware of the situation sense bliss sb out phrasal verb informal to become, or to make someone, completely happy and relaxed, to bliss out on music lsd I like to go off on my own to sit back and bliss out in a dark and move theater. Blissed out adjective informal they sat 2 by 2, blissed out in the sunshine sense ignorance is bliss. Saying said to emphasize that sometimes it is better for you, if you do not know all the facts about a situation pathetic sad, pitiful, distressing sense there is something pathetic about a great athlete, who continues to compete long after he has been bereft of his talents sense pathetic sad adjective causing feelings of sadness, sympathy or sometimes lack of respect, especially because a person or an animal is suffering. The refugees were a pathetic sight starving, frightened and cold. After the accident he became a pathetic figure, a shadow of his former self. See also pathos. Pathetically adverb other former captives spoke of pathetically inadequate food rations sense pathetic unsuccessful adjective disapproving no causing a lack of respect, often because unsuccessful or lacking ability, effort or bravery, a pathetic attempt joke excuse are you telling me you were frightened to speak to her? Don't be so pathetic. Pathetically adverb disapproving my parents' advice on sex was pathetically inadequate. On the spur of the moment on impulse, without thinking sense on the spur of the moment he turned thumbs down on the new job. A sport for every one of the many highly popular sports in the United States, football must be rated around the top. This sport allows the speedy and lithe athlete to join with the slower and ups as one in a team effort. The skills and strengths of many men are welded together, so that one team may work as a unit, to gain mastery over its opponent. The knowledgeable adherent of a team can follow action covering many parts of the playing field at the same time. He is in a state of bliss, when his team executes a movement to perfection. However, there is no one more pathetic than the same fan, when the opposition functions to equal perfection. Week 29 Day 2. Exhort urge strongly, advise sense doctors exhort obese individuals, to go on diet sense exhort verb t, plus to infinitive formal to strongly encourage, or try to persuade someone to do something, the governor exhorted the prisoners not to riot. Exhortation noun c or u formal despite the exhortations of the union leaders the workers voted to strike. The book is essentially an exhortation to religious tolerance. Apathy lack of interest, unconcern sense the feeling of apathy was so prevalent during the election campaign, that the candidates hardly bothered to make speeches sense apathetic adjective lacking interest or energy, unwilling to take action especially over a matter of importance. Young people today are so apathetic about politics. Don't be so apathetic. How are you going to get a job, if you don't even write a letter? Apathy noun when someone lacks interest or energy, and is unwilling to take action especially over a matter of importance. Widespread apathy among students voter apathy fracas noisy fight, brawl sense the fracas started when he besmirched my good name. Fracas noun as a noisy argument or fight. He was injured in a Saturday night fracas outside a disco. The Prime Minister has joined the fracas over the proposed changes to the health service. Inebriated drunk, intoxicated since he was usually sedate, but when inebriated he became hostile since inebriated adjective formal having drunk too much alcohol. In her inebriated state, she was ready to agree to anything. Inebriation noun formal he was in an advanced state of inebriation. Adversary opponent, enemy, foe since my adversary became disgruntled because my arguments were so cogent. Adversary noun he saw her as his main adversary within the company. Adversarial adjective involving opposition or disagreement. Lawyer enjoy being adversarial. In the old days of two-party adversarial politics, voting was easy. A fly in the ointment, some small thing that spoils or lessens the enjoyment since he was offered a lucrative position with the firm, but the fly in the ointment was that he would have to work on Saturday and Sunday. Raw. 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 The spectators at a football game play more than a superficial role. A spirited cheer from the stands often gives the player on the field a reason to try even harder. Cheerleaders exhort the fans, who may be in a state of apathy, because their team is losing, to spur on the team. In particularly close games between rivals of long standing, feelings begin to run high, and from time to time a fracas may break out in the stands. While the teams compete below, the fan, who is a bit inebriated, may seek out a personal adversary. On the whole, the enthusiasm of the spectators is usually constricted to cheering and shouting for their favorite teams. Week 29 Day 3. Indolent lazy since the indolent person goes to great lengths to eschew escape work since indolent adjective literary lazy, showing no real interest or effort, an indolent wave of the hand, an indolent reply indolently adverb literary indolence noun new literary after a sudden burst of activity, the team lapsed back into indolence. Gusto enthusiasm, enjoyment, zest passion. Since he began to eat the food served at the sumptuous luxurious feast with gusto since gusto noun new great energy, enthusiasm and enjoyment, that is experienced by someone taking part in an activity, especially a performance. Everyone joined in the singing with great gusto. Garrulous talkative, wordy since she was usually so garrulous, we considered anything under a 5-minute speech as a cryptic secret. Puzzle remark since garrulous adjective having the habit of talking a lot, especially about unimportant things. Garrulously adverb garrulousness noun new banal trivial, meaningless from overuse since men believe that women's conversation is filled with banal comments concerning clothing or food since banal adjective boring, ordinary and not original. He just sat there making banal remarks all evening. Banal pop songs banality noun C or U formal platitude commonplace or trite saying since during the most sultry days of summer, one often hears the platitude, is it hot enough for you? Since platitude noun C disapproving a remark or statement that may be true but is boring and meaningless, because it has been said so many times before. Milosevic doesn't mouth platitudes about it not mattering who scores as long as the team wins. Platitudinous adjective formal disapproving, to take French leave to go away without permission since the star player was fined $100 when he took French leave from the training camp. The 23-inch football field. The football fan, who cannot attend a contest competition in person, may watch any number of games on television. This has the great advantage of permitting an indolent fan to sit in the comfort of his living room and watch two teams play in the most inclement worst weather. However, some of the spirit, the gusto, is missing when one watches a game on a small screen away from the actual scene of the contest. Also, the viewer is constantly exposed to a garrulous group of announcers who continue to chatter in an endless way throughout the afternoon. Should the game be a 2-1, the announcers discuss the most banal bits of information. Even in the poorest game there is constant chatter involving one platitude after another about the laudable appraisable performances of each and every player. Week 29 Day 4. Peak, a fit of resentment since he showed his peak by slamming the door since pique noun you a feeling of anger and annoyance, especially caused by damage to your feeling of pride in yourself. He stormed from the room in a fit of pique, shouting that he had been misunderstood. Picked adjective dilettante one who has big interest, but little knowledge. Versus connoisseur since the dilettante will scoff at, Those who admit that they know very little about modern art sense dilettanti, noun see plural dilettantes or dilettanti, usually disapproving a person who is or seems to be interested in a subject, but whose understanding of it is not very deep. He's a bit of a dilettante as far as wine is concerned. A typical non-confirming sense: the detective had little to go on because of the atypical nature of the criminal sense. Atypical adjective, not typical, different from all the others of its type. The sociable behavior of lions is considered atypical of the cat family. Nondescript, undistinguished, difficult to describe sense: it is the nondescript fisherman, who does not embellish, decorate the story about the fish that got away. Sense: nondescript adjective, very ordinary, or having no interesting or exciting features or qualities. The Meteorological Bureau is in a nondescript building on the outskirts of town. Wane, decrease, decline sense: many virulent diseases are now on the wane. Sense: wane, verb I1, to weaken in strength or influence. By the late 70s the band's popularity was beginning to wane. Compare: wax, appear larger. Too formal: the moon wanes when it gradually appears less and less round, after the full moon. Wane, noun, on the wane of power, popularity, etc. Becoming less strong: there are signs that support for the party is on the wane. In the arms of Morpheus, asleep. Adjective. Since the day's activities were so enervating, he was soon in the arms of Morpheus. What's on? One day each week is set aside for college football, and another for the professional brand. Most fans enjoy both varieties. Nothing can put an avid viewer into a pick more quickly than missing an important contest. It is the dilettante who eschews escape the amateur variety, and watches only the professional games. The atypical fan will watch only his home team play. However, enthusiasts will continue to view the most nondescript contests involving teams that have no connection with their own town or school. Some intrepid fans have been known to watch high school games, when that was all that was offered. Public interest in football grows each year, while interest in other sports may be on the wane. Week 29, Day 5. Each citizen's obligation of all the democracies in the world, the United States has the most lackluster record when it comes to citizen participation in elections. Every 4 years the experts try to analyze the reasons for voter apathy. Often the eligible voter turnout at election time falls below 50%. This, after months of political campaigning, including televised debates, is a pathetic situation. No matter how hard the candidates woo the voters, the end results are often disappointing. Are the voters so indolent that they would rather stay home watching television than cast a ballot? Does the voter feel that the candidates are stating one platitude after another, and is therefore turned off? The right to vote is so precious valuable, that revolutions have taken place, where it has been denied. The civil rights struggles of the past were sparked by those who had been denied this right. The greatest adversary of democracy in this country is said to be the failure of citizen participation in the election process.